Hey, thank you, Dr. Laura. Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's an honor to stand here, and it's amazing. The people who organized this conference made me to be the kind of the bookends. Doreen and I did the first presentation. Actually, she did it. Like it was just a curtain raiser, and then now I get to wind up in terms of the formal presentations. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. I've made new friends, seen old ones, and also had a chance to do the Professor Tony, which is one of my hobbies. Thank you. So, it is true that I say. So, I get songs by inspiration, so my apologies to our friends and colleagues from South Africa, but so I composed this song that basically talks about how come let us give excellent service at KH, and that you get better, and that God will bless all the wonderful healthcare workers who are giving the service. So it goes like this. Njoni mpoke huduma, enyi wagonjwa wote Kenyatta. 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 Huduma wenye ujuzi, huduma wenye upendo, huduma kupeana amani, njoni nyote Kenyatta. Asanteni. As you can tell, I have been here on Earth for a number of years. How do I operate this thing? Somebody help me. Thank you, Dr. Lau. So basically, the presentation actually comes from myself and Rita, who has been heading the doctor counseling. Yes. So just to tell you that I've been working with the Chiromo Hospital Group very, very closely. I want to applaud Dr. Frank Jenga, Dr. Okonji, and the leaders at Chiromo Group who recognized that we needed to have regular, available, and affordable psychotherapy for doctors and medical students. And so we've been working with Rita, who the chief counseling psychologist of the Westlands branch of Chiromo Group, and also with a counselor that I work with in my office called Caroline Marubu to take care of the mental health needs of doctors and undergraduate medical students. So, this is a very common picture that might resonate with most of the Kenyan doctors who are all, I believe, top students wherever you came from before you became a doctor. This young man had who was apparently one of the top students from last year's Form 4 exams. Those are the exams that you do before you go to university. And he's they're having a good moment. What emotions can you see there? Joy, isn't it? They are so happy, and that is the time they say, oh my goodness, you passed your exams. Those are most likely his teachers, his parents, his peers and his friends, and they're all applauding him. And then he says, like most of you did after you passed your exam, so they ask him, what do you want to go and study? Then they say, I want to become a doctor. Okay? Anyone does this resonate with any of you? Hands up, please. Dr. Michelle, I know you are a top student. You've talked so many. Take them away in order to. So one of the questions I was asking myself, I actually want to take you through a journey on, you give me a few more minutes than usual, on just who are the kind of people who become doctors, what experiences do we go through, what predisposes us to being wonderful doctors, but also predisposes us to experiencing mental health disorders. How is the environment that we work, live, and play in? Because we are talking about social determinants, and what is going wrong, and what is going right, and what is the way forward. And also, I would like us at the very end of my presentations to just ask ourselves a few questions about the quality of life that we're experiencing as doctors. So let's go on to the next slide. So I really been so here Alan Kipkorir took the boy as a young man with the previous slide. He was a top student. He said he has a passion for the medical field. He wants to be among other doctors like you and I, impacting the lives of many people in the country. And he'd like to join our University of Nairobi, pursue a degree in medicine. I like that word, pursue. It's like the degrees that you're chasing. Can you see that picture? Yes. And then, after he's done his undergrad, he wants to go study neurosurgery and perfect his skills at Harvard University, which are wonderful hopes and expectations. Do these hopes get met? Do they get filled? So, my apologies, but I am going to bring a few painful memories back to our minds. So here you find the young man, Alan Keboy, 84 points, A student, brilliant, wants to be a medical doctor, wants to join university, mostly does join the program. So what happens between that and this? This was from one of our national newspapers, a very, very sad event for the Kenyan fraternity of doctors, where one of our postgraduate students in pediatrics, Dr. Lydia Wahoro, took her life, basically, in terms of she committed suicide. And so I asked myself, what is it that happens that brilliant students come into our system, they want to become doctors, and then somewhere along the line, something happens to them that they lose hope to the extent of experience depression or something else, adverse events, to the extent that they feel that they can no longer continue being productive, making a contribution to society and enjoying good quality mental health and fulfilling their dreams, to the extent that somebody who was in class earlier that day, somebody who was attending to patients earlier that morning, reaches a point of sending messages to her family and friends saying, you will find me in this particular sport, this is why, I have chosen to die by suicide, and, losing the life of a brilliant, beautiful young doctor whose life has been cut short by circumstances, some internal and some external, and what can we do about that? So I'd just like us to bow our heads in one moment and remember Dr. Lydia. We thank God for her life and we pray that the Lord will rest her soul in eternal peace. So how was this doctor described by her colleagues? Brilliant, top performing, okay? And this was in 2021. I don't think COVID had quite gone away. The COVID pandemic did bring quite a lot of pressure, especially in the medical fraternity, and we do know that this was right in the newspaper again, saying cases of depression on the rise in the medical field, particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic struck the country. This was experienced worldwide, but it might have been worse in our country because of some of the factors that we go through. So they did note, whoever wrote this article did make a note that a number of medical professionals are also suffering from depression and other mental related illnesses, and which is attributed to tough working conditions. And the fact that from the time of COVID, going to work was a life and death issue, and even coming back when you're afraid of then interacting with your family members, and all those factors that you do that would have given rise to depression, anxiety, apart from the many losses that we've experienced both at personal, family, national and international levels, which really did impact us in very, very traumatic ways. So, I'd like to ask you and ask myself, so what happens between the time that we are really brilliant, young medical students who want to become doctors, who want to make a difference in the world, who want to bring healing, and then at some point, for some of them, they reach a point of feeling like life is worthless. So I'd like to ask you, what are some of the greatest shocks that you experienced when you became a medical student? Could I have an answer or two? What are some of the greatest, can I say, psychological shocks that you experienced when you came to medical school? Being shouted at by the teachers? Mm-hmm.
As an intern, expected to work 24/7.
Yes.
Surgical intern in Kenyatta.
Okay. As an intern, expected to work 24/7. This mic is a bit off for me. Okay, fine. So heavy workload, little rest, and then you're now getting a different form of feedback from the people who are senior to you. Remember, you're being a top student wherever you came from. So the only shouting that you experienced before was, "Yay, Dr. Kobe is #1 again," isn't it? And then now you're being called a number of names in front of patients, nurses, and other people, and then they expect you to come back and say you're the big doctor you're coming to treat. Are you seeing the psychological distress that we could be putting through our students, that we are putting ourselves and our students through? And then, in Kenyan folklore, we all know that our parents were all number one, isn't it? Yes, so we wonder whose parent was number two. But for us who are doctors, psychologists, people in the mental health field, we are top students wherever we came from. And then you join the University of Nairobi, wherever you went to school, and you meet the other 125 other top students. Can you all be number one? No. So are you seeing, do you know that is a loss of your identity? You are being the top student now, but all the 125, you cannot all be number one. So suddenly, and then amazingly, I hope this practice has changed, because when I was an undergraduate, I was used to getting 80s and 90s, and occasionally like 100 in music. Please clap for me. I actually did try to convince my brother in undergraduate to allow me to leave medicine and to become a singer. That wasn't a popular career, that particular choice. And I keep on saying that had I left medicine at that point, I would most probably have been nameless and one would be earning megabucks, but it is well. Anyway, so I still practice music as a hobby that I really enjoy. So, what is it that we experience in medical school that is removing that hope and expectation of making a difference, of, making an impact, of treating patients with joy, and also that minimizes our quality of life? So, I think our identity gets interfered to. First, you're no longer number one, or you're no longer the only number one. So who are you? No one is applauding you. Instead, they're taking many opportunities, depending on which discipline you come to, except psychiatry, to cut you down to science. I think we're pretty pleasant to our postgraduate students. Do you have many of my postgrads here? Thank you. How has been your experience with us? Was it? Well, we have, yeah, please just either put a thumb up or a thumb down. It's okay, you already passed, so don't worry. Yes. Dr. Kimani, I see you. I see you, yes. So one of the things I tell the students when they come to us, both the undergrads, the medical officers, and the postgraduate students, when they come to our department, is that you're beautiful, you're brilliant, you're handsome, you're brilliant, and you have already passed your exam. We are moving from 100 coming down, from moving from 50 going up. One of the things that used to happen a lot in the university, at least when I was an undergrad, is that we get marks ranging from about, I think, 50 to 60%. For somebody who used to get 80s and 90s. And then when you send your class to a university like I went to Johns Hopkins, a university, and then they're saying, we will only admit students who have a certain grade level. And then when you go to Johns Hopkins and you are scoring A's of 95s and 92, they wonder, is this the same person? And it also makes it difficult for other people to actually appreciate how brilliant and how good we are at what we do. I believe that I'm hoping that this culture is changing. For me, where I work, I try my best to give marks that people are worth, and also to point out the wonderful things that people are doing, and also give correction where I think something needs to be improved. So, the other thing that happens to medical students and doctors is that we need to be in control or being on top of the game. And then we go to the ward. Let me talk about KH, that's where I might be different in the hospital. I have a question for you. Well, after you started working as a medical doctor, no, I have some water. I started working as a medical doctor. Who did you discover is the real boss in the ward? Is it you, the doctor? Is it the sister? Is it the cleaner or porter? Is it the medical records officer? Okay, let's see how many hands, when you're working in a public hospital in Kenya, how many of you think that the doctor is the boss of the ward? Let's see your hands. No hands. Okay, fine. How many of you think it's the ward sister? I'm seeing a forest of hands. Wait, sure. Okay, how many of you think it's the porter? Sorry? In theatre it's a porter, isn't it? And if you're a general ward, how many of you think it's the cleaner has more power than you as a doctor. So, the real boss in the world is not you. You thought when you graduated from MBCHD and we gave you your change, the power to lead and to do all that attains, to being a doctor, that you're going to be walking the world as a big boss, and you discover, oh no, you are not the boss. Who is boss? Sister. And therefore you need to learn how to work with sister, the medical officer, the porter, and everybody else to achieve good patient outcomes. That is something that no teachers in med school, I think it should be part of the curriculum. So, as we go through this presentation, we just want to ask ourselves, to what extent are we actually enjoying good mental health? How much are we, as doctors and medical students, being able to cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively and fruitfully, make a contribution to our communities, and not merely have the absence of disease. Okay? So, I'll go next to highlight a number of things, just to update you on what we've been doing the Doctor Wellness program between myself, Flora Hospital Group at the University of Nairobi, and this was the beginning of the Doctor Wellness program. It basically came up around the time of COVID, and there are certain things about doctors that make us really wonderful doctors. We are brilliant, we are compassionate, we are dedicated to excellence in saving lives, we want to make an impact. We put others before ourselves, but we do agree that medicine is a high-stress career. Ndio ama la? Ndio. Yes or no? Yes. So medicine is a high-stress career. That has been reported around the world. So we decided, there was actually a study that was done, but amazing. By the time Dr. Shafiq started off this study and got it to us at the Department of Mental Health, he was actually a 50-year-old student who was interested about the psychosocial factors affecting medical students and postgraduate doctors, and the extent to which they felt supported through their studies and through their work life. And it's been published in the British Medical Journal of Psychiatry and a few other forums. He actually presented a paper, I think the year before, last year, basically reporting that about of the 338 postgraduate students, SHO senior house officers that we interviewed during this study, 71% reported mild to low depressive symptoms, but about the other almost 30% were experiencing various degrees of depression and anxiety that was affecting their functioning. And one of the most common coping mechanisms was using alcohol and also using marijuana. Most of the stress was associated with work-life issues, too much work, too little time to rest, too little time to sleep, and especially the female of the doctors. I think most because quite often they would have a double role in terms of having worked in the hospital, you still go home there, you're expected to be a wife and a mother and coordinate so many other things. I'm not saying that my brothers do not participate in childcare and housework, but women do carry the heavier load, especially in Africa. And most of the doctors that we interviewed were very cautious about talking about their mental health. They felt they needed more support, they were happy with what they were able to give, but they also wish their seniors were more empathetic and treated them more as human beings. One of the major concerns was issues about money and remuneration, and I'd really like to applaud Aga Khan University Hospital for providing a paid postgraduate experience. I think also Mater Hospital, I think that is something that University of Nairobi and KNH need to work together to better, so that they're not having that experience of doctors finding it difficult to make ends meet when they are studying, because they have to go and do so many locums around to feed their families, while at the same time also attaining their goals, especially through their studies. Okay, so this is an update of the Doctor Wellness program. We started in February 2019, and I presented a paper last year on where we had reached. As of last year, May, we had 28 clients. As of this year, in August, we had seen a cumulative total of 35 clients, majority of whom were female. We still had very few consultants. We had one consultant who's been under care throughout. And last year, you can see we had 4 SHOs. This time we had 6 SHOs last year we had 4 medical officer interns. This year we have 14 medical officer interns who are actually part of the 21 undergraduate students who had actually graduated from, we have successfully been able to work with undergraduate medical students, especially in the seniors, to complete their studies, and are also working with them through their internship. And if you allow me at the end of the presentation, when I go back to my seat, I'd like to share with you text message or two of some of the responses of the students, what they have said about our program when they have been able to attain some of their career goals, such as passing the exams and going on to become doctors, others completing their internship and now finding a way where and how to work. A reminder that social determinants of mental health are also linked up with the SDGs. We had seen this slide before. And I'd like us to look at, if we look at the social determinants of health, where we live, work, and play, and how it affects the lives of doctors, what is actually happening, what are we doing right, and what do we do better, and who do we need to work with so that there are policies in place, so that also, whether it is at individual, community, organizational level, at country level, to make sure that doctors also enjoy a good quality of life, are able to put their best foot forward, and also enjoy time. And enjoy the hard-earned money that they have worked for, and are also able to enjoy, like what we had yesterday, to go dancing, and also to afford to even come to Grand Royal Swiss Hotel. Like we say, Kisumu ye, Kisumu ye, hey, Grand Royal Swiss yawa. So, Neil, I hope you do come. You have some links to the UK, I believe. I hope you do know that this is the second UK, United Kisumu. Yes, so welcome to UK, Kenya version. So if you look at social determinants of health, basically when you look at our economic stability, social and community context, neighborhoods in which we work, our access to healthcare as doctors, and our aviation training, I'd like to just talk about Mike a little bit and ask ourselves, what are doctors actually experiencing? And could we do better, and what are we doing right? So I'm going to show you 2 neighborhoods, and you tell me where you prefer to live. Would you prefer to live here with your family? This is A. Or would you prefer to live here? So let me go back again. Would you prefer to live in A, or would you prefer to live in B? Those who would like to live in an environment that looks like A, please put up your hands. No one. Okay. And those who would like to live in B? Most of you. Okay, great. So, for those who would like to live in an environment like this nice, leafy, green neighborhood, why would you like to live in B and not A? Maybe 1 or 2 responses? It's clean and pleasant. Okay? B is clean and pleasant. And what about A? A is dirty? Sorry? Say that again. It looks like there's pollution. And actually, unfortunately, many of my students live in an environment that looks around A because some policy makers have made their living quarters into a car park. Hello? Have I put something up by mistake? Somebody, tech people, please help me. Hello? Mic testing? Yeah. So, unfortunately, a number of doctors live in environments that look like A in some of the training hospitals because they're policy makers who have made some decisions that then end up exposing doctors and their families to insecurity, air pollution, petrol fumes for them and their students, lack of privacy for walking in and out of where they stay, lack of homes in the hospital, lack of green areas for socializing, being unsure of when they're going to be paid, how they're going to be paid, and how secure their jobs are, and lack of control over where they work in terms of workload and the environment in which them and their families live, and then which ends up in an attitude such like, I came here to do my postgraduate, let me just do it as fast as I can and get out of here. Okay? Now, I picked up a few conversations from young doctors. We do know that we're all grappling with the effects of the finance bill on our lives as Kenyans, and I believe it's something I also hear going around the world. But for doctors, this was from the Kenya Medical Association board, some of the key concerns, especially for young doctors, are ever-increasing taxation. Somebody mentioned here yesterday that I think they also need to be able to have dialogue with the government in terms of what the increasing taxation that is coming in layers, and I hear there was even another layer that MPs were proposing, that the impact it is having on the mental health and psychological health of Kenyans, and also just people's abilities in our country to be able to live a happy, healthy, and productive life. And I think here in this room are the people who can make this happen. Now, for young doctors, they're also concerned about the levels of humiliation, job insecurity. Recently, a number of medical superintendents lost their jobs, and I think they have to interview for them. According to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Unions, over 4,000 doctors have graduated and are employed. And for medical students, of course, these are concerns that go across the board, the issues about remuneration, lack of guaranteed employment after internship, good working conditions, work-life balance, who's going to take care of their health and that of their families, and safe living environment, need for humane mentorship, and having high-quality standardized training programs. I know that as we have gone through this conference, we have talked about most of these things, and perhaps I'm just thank you very much. I'm just reminding you of what we have talked through, and I'm hoping that as we live here, both individually, collectively, and also in our spheres of influence where we will live, work, and play, we are going to pick up one or two items that we want to work on. As I go to, I'm actually almost done with my presentation, I really like this slide. I mean, look at this slide. It says that our environments cultivate our communities, and our communities nurture our health. When you look at the way doctors live, you can see that actually the slide on the left, that one that's not a tree, they actually do experience quite a number of things as doctors, some of which we can be able to control and others we can be able to influence, such as advanced living conditions, environmental toxins, unemployment, discrimination perhaps in some areas, institutional racism in terms of you are expected to work but you're not expected to, people don't listen to you, to your opinion, occupational hazards, and other things that might predispose us to all of those, whether it is depression, obesity, stress, heart disease, substance use, unsafe sexual practices, violence, and smoking, and even our children are affected in the generations that come up to us. We are hoping that as we continue to work together, that we are actually going to move from the left to the right, where we have access to the creation of facilities, adequate income, health insurance, clean environment, access to healthy nutritious foods wherever we work, quality housing, transportation resources, job security, and equitable payment for what we do, access to healthcare for ourselves and our loved ones, and that we have to come through several leadership through intersectoral collaboration, political influence, organizational networks. KPA continue to play a role of advocacy, and KMA, and us providing social support and social networks like what we experience here in Kenya at the Kenya Psychiatric Association. By the way, we might have seen this slide before from last year, and wow. Okay, some of them as doctors basically also has to do our own culture. We don't want to be seen as incompetent. And it's also not cool to be known that you have depression or anxiety. I want to bust this myth and say that I have lived with depression and anxiety for very many years. It has negatively impacted my life for a long time. But I'm also able to stand here and talk to you today because I have had amazing support from my peers and my friends, for which I'm eternally grateful. And that has helped me. I also have very good social support. I have a good, I make sure I take my downs and everything. But it took me a long time to even agree to start taking an antidepressant because I first discovered that what I was experiencing was depression when I was doing my postgraduate in psychiatry. And most of the people around me did not believe that, what I was experiencing depression or experiencing suicidal ideation, excessive low moods. My body apparently prefers to wake up after 10. The running joke between Dr. Kagamo and I is like he calls me around 10:30 and tells me, hello, Violet, are you awake? And I'm like, Dr., what are you saying? And I'd also like to find the people who say that all government meetings need to be at 8 a.m. Because we all know that the people who are morning people are night people. Am I the only night person in this room? Are there people here who are evening people? Please let me see your hands. Hallelujah. We are many, meaning the other half are the morning people, isn't it? So please, when you do those meetings, you make some at 8 and others at 10. So that we can sleep in there. Dr. Neil, you agree with me? Professor Mabai, we are together, sit here. Wonderful, way to go. So these are some of the barriers here that we experience, fear of, being left out, fear of failing exams, fear of being seen as incompetent, fear of disappointing our loved ones, our parents and all, loss of our identity, we are successful people. You're called for a harambe and then you discover, oh my goodness, somebody who hasn't quite come in and you're not able to contribute the tens of thousands that they expect of you. Has anybody ever experienced that? Yes, isn't it? So you have this big title. So we're praying that we're going to narrow the gap between the big title and our lived experience. But we're not complaining. We're also saying that we are in a much better place than we were before. True or false, Madaktari? We are in a much better place and we are thankful. So in terms of the successes for our program, you did look at the numbers. As I said, now we have about 35 doctors and medical students who are in our program. All of them have been given psychological support. They are able to access their medication. The problem that we are now experiencing is that when doctors finish when they're doing internship, they are covered by NHIF. But when they leave internship, if they are going to work somewhere else that doesn't have a medical cover, then it becomes difficult for them to access care in terms of the monies that they need to pay for medicine and psychotherapy. That's an area in which we could perhaps collaborate with Neil and the Royal College and other stakeholders to help doctors be able to enjoy a good quality of life, especially for those who've been able to reach out for care. I also want to especially thank the Chiromo Hospital Group, Dr. Frank Denga, Dr. Mark Sokunji, and all the shareholders for the 4 to 6 psychotherapy sessions that they give to our students, and we also want to thank very much the University of Nairobi collaborating with us at Kenyatta National Hospital, and also my colleague Caroline Marubu, who spent quality time with doctors and medical students in order to help them to navigate the stresses of life, to be able to work productively, to be able to experience joy in life, and be able to do things that make them happy and that contribute to the health and the well-being and the GDP of our country. I also want to say that, this is aching, or this is not going right, or I'm bloated, or, I'm so tired, I'll experience chronic fatigue. And I'll ask God, why couldn't you just distribute some of these diseases to some other people around me? Sometimes you can ask yourself such questions. And then I've reached a point, I'm in a much better health now. And I'm old enough to not care what you think about me. I've accomplished 99% of my career goals. So if you think I'm crazy, that's yours. It's okay not to be okay. And the interesting thing is that some of the things which I regarded as failures in my life, as I wind up this presentation, are actually helping me to help medical students and residents navigate the things that they go through life. For example, I had to do a supplementary in third year in, I think, pathology or psychopharmacology or both, whichever. So when the students come to me, they say, oh no, my colleagues, no, now what are people going to think of me? I'm having this as a supplementary. I'm like, it happens. And imagine you're going to make it through. I had to repeat Form 6 because I got migraines. I was a top student in Kenya High School, from 1 to Form 6. Then I had to repeat it Form 7. I was so traumatized. I had never failed. What was this thing called failure? I think one of the things that we need to put in the medical school training curriculums is resilience and how to fail successfully. And that it's okay not to be okay. And that doctors are human beings too. And that not everyone is going to like you, not everyone else is going to support you, but work with those who can work with you. Appreciate yourself, love yourself, have a good social network, take time to eat good meals, take time to dance, take time to dress up. Cindy, take time to wear shorts like Dr. Michelle. And still look wonderful. Don't worry, it's because I know your name and you are looking absolutely awesome. Eat life with a spade. We are in Kisumu, yeah. This is the area of the country, people eat left with a big spoon. In fact, with a spade. Are we together? Do you pledge to eat left with a spade after this? Let me see your hands. Well done, Madaktari. And for those who are still on that journey about from the spade to the spoon, hapana tumia teaspoon, use a big spoon. So that you can be able to enjoy life. And then when people look at you, they look at me and they still think I'm sweet 16. Toya. So, what we are saying is that I'm working with doctors and medical students, and the fact that I have gone through depression, I take antidepressants, I take anxiolytics, I take my vitamins, I take whatever it is else that I need to take. It helps them to see that, oh, you mean you can take medication and still function. And if I didn't tell you, is it labeled on my head that I'm taking an antidepressant? It's not labeled, isn't it? So it's okay not to be okay. I didn't choose to have depression. I didn't choose my genetic loading or whatever it is. I didn't choose my circumstances. But I can choose the way we react to circumstances. And knowing that there are other people who have gone through and are going through things that you might be experiencing helps you to know that you are actually a normal human being going through some things that might not be that wonderful. But you can still make lemonade out of the lemons that sometimes we are handed by life. So these are some of the things that we provide in our doctor care program. If we come to you for support, please be there for us. We give resilience training, stress management training, anger management. We make, we help people through life skills and career mentorship programs. We offer support on various issues through the through our life parenting issues, caring for aging parents, and also issues about our own self-care and managing things that we are going through. And there's one of the singers who said, if you're going through a hard time, don't stop there, go through it, okay? And sorry? Sing it. I sing it. Oh, I can't remember that particular one, but I'm singing one last one when we're done, when I'm closing. Thanks, Dr. Wawa. Yes, so what are the implications for policy and practice? We need to change our culture, or we need to continue to change our culture from a culture of silence to a culture of safe sharing, to promote self-awareness and self-care, to establish boundaries between our work and our lives, okay? To promote life skills training, promote emotional intelligence training, encourage health-seeking behaviors, attend those webinars, okay? And speak up when we need to speak up, support one another. And it's okay to call a colleague and ask them, how are you doing today? In our department, we like to ask, how are you today? Department of Mental Health. I read somewhere just before, around the time that I was a resident, as I'm winding up, that when two psychiatrists meet, they don't ask, how are you? They say, you're doing well, how do I do? Yes, so that is, we assess one another. Hey, how are you doing? It's not how are you doing, it is, Nora, you're looking well. How am I looking? Hallelujah. So, and I think people, KPA, Kenya Psychiatric Association, Kenya Medical Association, represented here by many of the people who are in key decision-making abilities. We need to stand up for doctors and their families in terms of the places we work, the places we live, the places that we need to be able to have doctor-friendly policies that protect us and our families. And to be able to, we've done a great job of supporting one another through various life events, whether it is weddings, births, losses such as death and things like that, and even doctors who have gone through disability in one way or another. And I believe that's something that makes Kenya Psychiatric Association really unique. I am privileged to have been the first woman to be the national vice chairperson of this organization. It was not easy. And I thank God that those who have come after us are continuing to make this organization better and better and better. Haven't you people enjoyed this conference? Yes. I know we're going to clap for Nick, but let us clap for Dr. Hitaya and his team. Dr. Iroto, everybody else, Dr. Matthew Karanja, Dr. Wa, Asante. You have made this conference absolutely amazing. So, I am actually wound up, 22 of 24. Mortality among doctors. We do know that around the time of COVID, we did lose quite a number of doctors to COVID. But one of the trends that I'm seeing is that we're losing younger doctors to suicide, apart from Dr. Lydia, who was a postgrad who died by suicide. We have had, I think, 1 or 2 younger colleagues, especially medical officer interns, who have committed suicide after finding that after internship they didn't have a place to go. and are not able to provide for their families and their, loved ones who are expecting so much of them. So we need to be able, as we work with the systems around us, to be able to have policies and practices in place that actually protect the livelihoods and the lives of doctors. We also need to be able to continue to reach out to one another, to support one another, to have a forum where you can be able to say, hey, this is what I'm going through, what can be done? And if you own a hospital or two, or other, areas where where people can be able to get income, please let us reach out to one another, okay? That mentorship is so, so important. And I have one or two questions to ask. I have one or two, my dear older colleagues who suddenly from Kenya, they suddenly died. And just after retirement, and I feel that perhaps we're driving ourselves too much. Are we taking time to enjoy the flowers on our paths to wherever we are going? Or are we so busy trying to make as much money as we can and, take care of all the needs around us to the extent that we forget ourselves? I know most of us have very, very good work-life balance, but we need to enjoy long, healthy, and happy lives as doctors. When did you last have a checkup? A health checkup? I won't ask you to put up your hand, but it's something I'm also reminding myself. I had one recently. It's important for us to go for health checkups. It's important for us to slot in quality time away from work and heavy duty things to be able to just spend time with your loved ones, and also regular times of exercise. I know Dr. Wawa and others at KMA, you guys have done an amazing job. Keep on thinking, my goodness, are you walking 5K? It's okay. So self-care is key to good health and vitality. Madaktaris, I think I've talked about this. How can we manage our stressors? We need to build resilience, teamwork. We need to carve time out for ourselves. Fun times. One of the secrets to long and healthy and happy life is what you eat, how mindfully you eat it, the 2 or 3 close friends that you have, and your ability to balance work life, and also to give back to society, and to have a very, very important thing that Dr. Jenga talked about yesterday, apart from emotional intelligence in navigating how we relate with one another and eating nutrient-dense foods. And by the way, the places that we work, I think 1 or 2 places, there are some things we need to tweak in terms of better access to nutrient-dense foods. I saw that when I was studying at Johns Hopkins, that there were so many choices in terms of what you could eat, even in between your classes, during break time, during lunchtime, even after work, and that makes a difference, because you are what you eat, isn't it? And I'm glad that we have, proteins and all that. Perhaps we need to reduce a bit on the mandazi spectrum in Kenya and have more of, variety in terms of what we are offered wherever we are, we work. Dr. Njenga yesterday talked about how some of the older members of our fraternity are now gearing themselves up to meet Abraham and other fathers of faith and to meet our Creator. You do know that nobody is leaving this planet alive, don't you? Yes. So I think it's important to prepare for where you're going, isn't it? As we maintain, I like to think of the cross. I'm a Christian, of like this. Nora, please come and help me for a minute. Sorry to ambush you. As we schedule rest and relaxation regularly for ourselves, as we speak up and speak out and socialize and do things, and also process difficult emotions such as anger, as we forgive those who have offended us, and we also ask for forgiveness, as we cultivate gratitude, maintain hobbies, volunteer in communities. I think it's important for us. Please hold them. I'm just asking you to hold the mic for me, so that I can demonstrate for them what I feel is some of the key ways in which we need to live in order to be able to live most productively, enjoy good health, ourselves and our love, and enjoy what we do and where we are for the time that God has given us here on earth. So, if you look at the cross, the Christian, yes, thank you, yes. If you look at the Christian cross, it looks like this, isn't it? So I see this as maintaining good relationship with God or your higher power, and this as maintaining good relationship with the people around you, and right is a sense of yourself, taking care of the temple that God has given you, taking care of the talents, time and treasures that God has given you, as you interact with others, and interact with yourself, and interact with your Maker, and take each day as it comes. and mentor somebody while you're at it. Asanteni. So I'm hoping that, and when the trumpet of the Lord shall sound and time shall be no more, and the morning dawns eternal, bright and fair, when the Savior now will gather on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Amen. So I'm really hoping that, in my closing remarks, I don't know who said this, but someone said that there are two types of people. There are people who bring joy wherever they go, and others, joy wherever they go, and others whenever they go. So I am hoping that your experience in life and those around you is going to be like this. But I'm hoping that the day that you leave Earth, people will not be doing this. As I'm saying.